Now, can I check in with you guys actually? Do you hear me? I know we had that issue last time. Can any of you type into the chat box and let me know if you can hear us? So I don't start talking and you not be able to. Awesome, thank you, Haley. Okay, thanks, Dawn. Okay, great. Nothing like starting when no one can hear. Yes, yeah, it is. We'll just cut that part out. All right, welcome everybody to Tuesday night workshop at Monarch Family Chiropractic. And we are going to ask for a little bit of grace here. We are going to switch topics, and it's not that the understanding the developing brain talk is not happening. Dr. Maiken has way more research and literature on that. And so that workshop will most likely switch to next week's or be at the beginning of the new year when everybody's back in full swing. So that amazing topic will happen. It's going to happen on an evening when she can deliver it. And tonight I'm delivering workshop. So we found it really purposeful as we were going through this last couple of weeks with patients to talk about myths. And when we do our chiropractic facts talk, it's a great one that a lot of you have been on, kind of debunking things. And I think it's really important this time of year to slow down and talk about the holiday myths, holiday health myths, things that happen during this time of year, kind of between Thanksgiving and New Year's, that affect us all. And so we're going to just take a handful of minutes here to talk through a couple things and really set our mindset up for a really successful end of year, start of new year, and getting into this holiday season, which I think most of us are in full swing of. So forgive me while I get. Oh, you don't see that. How come I don't? Yeah, I'm going to try here. There we go. Sorry, it's different every time we go this presentation mode. So cold and flu season. So we talk about whether we feel there's a season for cold and flu. And people think, oh, it's that time of year. It's that time of year. It's flu season. And it's really more about why and where that happens. And so it's tending to look at things that conglomerate together at the same time of year. And I think in the winter, with us seeing that there is a Thanksgiving holiday, Christmas holiday, or Hanukkah and different things, if you celebrate in different realms of the season and going into a new year, that we do a lot of the things the same or a heightened version of different things through probably mid November through the new year. So it's talking about what kind of things create us to not have maybe the strongest immune system throughout different times of the year. And so there's things that affect that, which is why we can then tend to have a weaker immune system when we bombard it with a bunch of things that tend to happen at the winter time or at the holiday season. And that it's not that there is a season, it is that there's a change in what we do that draws these things more to the forefront. So one thing that we look at is when do people feeling run down? So a lot of times this was something that always came up with my younger generation, which was that when did people's systems finally go, oh, I can rest or I can recover? Or many times I've come down from the intensity and then their system is so taxed, you get sick, you catch that flu, you catch that cold, the viruses are more able to come into your system and take over. So it's that at the holiday time, we tend to do a handful of things more frequently, which would be eat different foods, many of them between Thanksgiving to Christmas or the holiday you celebrate could be a fattier food, definitely more sugar, right? All the sweets, alcohol consumption tends to be higher at the holidays. We tend to sleep less. because we're either out celebrating, going to maybe parties that are on the weekends or evenings, celebrating a new year, which, you know, some people are up till 1, 2 in the morning. Now, this isn't all the time, but when we combine, you know, anything from end of November to the new year, I mean, that could be a good, you know, 6, 7 weeks of doing these types of things. So it's like students being in class, getting through midterms or getting through finals and doing their classwork and then studying their butts off for finals, and then crashing after because their immune system has gotten taxed by sugar. Like, I'll be the first to admit that during parts of my program, when we took 30 credit hours at a time, I lived on Mountain Dew during my finals. I mean, you know, we did things to our bodies to say, how can we stay up for longer and feel like we're still doing some level of function? Now, it wasn't good, but if for short periods of time, there's things that we'll do, right, to intensify that lack of sleep and overload on the brain. So the brain's working harder, plus it's trying to process all the sugars and inflammation that creates. And then not sleeping, right? Or sleeping really weird hours. And then having stress. You know, it's that holidays, school times, changes of routine can all be also stressful for people. So knowing that those kinds of things, our body works over to overdrive and then usually goes into some version of a slowdown, right? The body says, oh, finals are over. I would get sick all the time or express a different level of health all the time when my body was like, oh, I can breathe. I can take a break now. I got through those tests. I got through those finals. And sometimes I would spend 2, 3, 4 days just sleeping. So the body needing to rest and recover. So I think it's a really great thing to just recognize what we kind of call that 80-20 rule, right? Of what can we do and how can we balance it with still doing things that are going to be fun, that are going to be late nights, that are going to be, you know, maybe more libations, are going to be eating the favorite foods we have that maybe we only have 2 or 3 times a year. So I think it's doing those things. And then how can we support and or counteract what some of that does to our bodies, so that we can avoid taxing them in the way that is going to set us up to have some of those things that are in our normal environment, like the cold season, and cold that comes into different times of the year, right? And that flu viruses that travel different times of the year, they're not only around those times of the year, we're more susceptible to them at those times of the year because of some of the things we do, or maybe not do for ourselves. So I think what's great to spend the next handful of minutes talking about tonight is what we can do and how to balance that out. And hopefully maybe bring some just, you know, perspective to what we can control and be able to check in a little bit more frequently with ourselves and or our circle, and setting a good routine that's helpful for this next 3-4 weeks at least. So we talk about how consistency is what gets results, right? So your chiropractic care, when you get an adjustment, your immune system, your white blood cell count goes up. There is tons of research to show that, and studies to show people getting that type of testing, those types of things, pre-post adjustments. And so we also know lots of things of how it affects the brain, and we could go down that road for hours in a conversation. So we have some of that research here at the office. But to pinpoint it, it's that when you are getting that adjustment, your white blood cell count goes up. Why that matters is because that is supporting your, that is the white blood cells are like killer T cells. Those are your defense cells. That's your immunity cells that say, whoop, I'm in a more heightened alert to support whatever's the system around me. So when you have a higher white blood cell count, the body and the brain is going, oh, okay, I'm more aware of my surroundings. I'm more aware of something coming by me in the body that's foreign versus something that's me. So when we're exposed to other, you know, viruses like flu bugs or, you know, cold things going around, our bodies have a greater response to attacking that and kind of, in a sense, doing the immune function, right? Which is to attack it and take it and kill it off and take it out of our system versus letting it build in our system and create a symptom, if you will, then when you after an adjustment, then without adjustments. So the more we have our consistent routines through the holidays, the less taxed our body is. And the more chiropractic we can keep doing through the holidays is definitely supporting a taxed immune system. So that's one way in which to help keep your routine and keep your immune system boosted. Obviously, supplementation is also a portion of, we have lots of workshops that we've done on supplementation from the sense of what can we do nutritionally that supports our bodies, our immune system, our digestive, gut health. I would say I would focus on your probiotics this time of year, pre-probiotic and digestive enzymes, because that is what's going to support the start of the gut, if you will, and the exiting, the tail end of your digestive system. When we are eating things with more sugar, higher fat content, more calories, more just richer, fattier foods most of the time, and also processing the sugars. So if you don't have the right digestive enzymes in your gut, a pre and probiotic isn't always enough. So it's how do we digest those things that we don't always eat? Or in my my example is I'll eat too much of, like my body can handle a portion of it, but when I'll eat double the amount I would normally eat because it's there and it's something I don't have very often, you need to support the body being able to process, overeating really. So that's where I would focus, and just that we don't always look at water as supplementation, but flush your system, drink more water. Especially when we're ingesting sugars and fats and things like that, the digestive system can't run without enough hydration. So also caffeine and alcohol are dehydrants, right? So that dehydrates our system. So if we're doing more of either of those things, whether you're, drink something alcoholic or you just drink more caffeine or whether it's tea, coffee, because it's just winter or it's colder and that feels good because it's warm, we've got to hydrate. So I would say support yourself with more water than usual. And if we aren't already doing this, know that you take your weight in pounds. So say, you're 140 pounds, half of your body weight in ounces is what we should drink a day. So if I'm 140 pounds, then I would drink 70 ounces of water a day. So do your math and know where your minimum should be, and then increase that by at least probably 10 or 20 ounces. So an extra glass or two a day. Movement, how important is it to move? Right? So making sure we're doing things to keep ourselves in a mobile state and not a sedentary state, especially when people just tend to maybe vacation or take time off. Super important that we reset and rejuvenate and have breaks, but that we're doing it in a purposeful way. That we're staying mobile and we're not, I'm spending 2 to 4 days on the couch. So keeping movement in our routine, that's also great for digestive system. If we're not moving, things don't usually move with us, right? And move out of us. So making sure that those kind of components are in your routine. This next month for sure. Going into things that are, sleep is one we touched on, and it may not be your same set hours, but how can you either get at least that bare minimum to get through a couple sleep cycles, right? In your circadian rhythm. So you needing a 90-minute cycle, there should be 5 to 6 of those minimum. And where can you at least get your clock set to where you're getting a couple full cycles and not waking up in the middle of a cycle? So that's a whole nother health workshop topic, but it may be that when you have a decreased amount, focus on where you're getting it and how much at once. And there's nothing wrong with napping, with getting in little naps where you can, if that's a component that you can do, because your sleep schedule changes. Is this there? Okay. I'm not sure why my thing is cutting off, but 80-20 rule. We talk about this a lot in just all of the facets and the components of health in our life. But the statement that Doc put here, as we talked about this at lunch, was writing that if you're one of the nutritionists that she pulled the statement from, if you can lose weight if you eat nutritiously 80% of the time, allow yourself indulgence in a less healthy food, about that 20%. So that's what 80-20 rule a lot of times is talked about in nutrition. And I just think we should be applying it to everything we do, right? So if we are doing 80% of the time doing those healthy habits and healthy things, then 20% of the time is not going to wreck any of us to a degree that is like, non, kind of returnable, or that we feel like we can't recover from. So watching again that percentage of indulgence, that yes, it's going to be sometimes a little higher at this time of the year, and doing it all with a little bit of, I don't know, willpower at this time of year, and just making sure we're doing those other components so that when we deviate out of that 80-20, we don't go too far for too long. This is where I want to kind of wrap up, which is that in all the craziness of holidays, is that we're checking in and tuning in to just where we're at, or where our surroundings are, really, whether that's a person or place. It's a lot of hustle and bustle for everybody. So when the chaotic times happen, and it can be that it's not bad chaotic, it's just chaotic, right? Everybody's together, everybody's gathering, maybe you're traveling, maybe you're not traveling, but you're hosting, and it could be 5 people or it could be 25 people. Holidays aren't always less stress for people and calm for people, and it's a time that should be. So I think checking in and making sure, where are you at? If it's feeling like you're in a spot where it's too chaotic for you, in a sense, checking in, and whether that means you have to tune in to something that calms you, whether that's music, whether that's just getting out of somebody else's environment for a little while, or the chaos of conversation, whatever that component, whatever brings you kind of peace and calm, stepping into that. And even if it's just for a few minutes, doing deep breathing, stepping into a different room, monitoring amount of time you're with certain people, maybe of what you're doing when you have to travel, to make sure you're kind of having some recovery time or downtime from that before jumping back into, say, work mode. It's just tuning in, checking in, and knowing where are you in your space, and knowing that if it's somebody else creating some chaos, you can remove yourself from that scenario and create, go to where your happy place is, if you will, and just checking in. That's a really important piece to just enjoying the holidays and enjoying the people you're with, and not coming out of the holidays feeling like you need a vacation from the holiday, right? So just being able to kind of tune in and tap into you. So we'll wrap up with something that we coach on all the time, which is that, where are you at in your focus? So in focusing on the holidays, are we focusing on, how many things have to get done? Maybe not so much perfection, but just enjoying the moment, and focusing more on focus drives feeling. So if we're focused on the right things, we will usually have a better feeling, a better outcome. If we're focused on a stress or overwhelm, or this has to be perfect, or this has to go this way, or there's a lot of chaos in planning the holiday or going through the holiday, then we can easily lose focus on sort of the importance, right? And that takes us down a different path of overwhelm, maybe tending to not feel the appreciation of the holiday and really the purpose of it, and kind of driving us down a path of like, this is not always such a great experience. So I think we have more control over that than we tend to give it. And instead of maybe, being able to again, pause, check in, what are we focused on? What's the most important thing that we want it to be about? And creating that feeling to spend our time and energy in these next couple of weeks. So I appreciate you guys spending time with us tonight to kind of set up for a happy and hopefully healthy holiday several weeks in season. Reminder that this is Patient Appreciation Week. So we've been having an awesome couple days of celebrating our patients, meeting a bunch of their family and friends who are coming in and getting checked, and sharing lots of goodies, homemade things that our patients who is a baker has made for us and brought in. So There are lovely treats still in the office, celebrating you guys, and know that we have one, maybe two, I can't tell, one appointment slot left for the week, if which is tomorrow afternoon. If someone has someone they've been thinking of that might want to come and get checked, this is when, if you don't know, we celebrate our patients and whoever they know that they send in during this week of patient appreciation, that we do that full exam consult, x-rays at our expense. So if there's anyone that you're thinking of, know that we have another spot left this week that we would happy to serve someone in your circle or community. So thank you for joining us. We will let you guys know when the developing brain topic will be aired. It is not getting dropped. It's just going to get moved weeks. So thank you for joining us. I'm sure we'll see most all of you this next week. We are here through next Thursday, the 22nd, regular hours, full days. We will then break and be closed the 26th through the 2nd. So we will be, all those people that are on tonight, we should have things rescheduled, but we will hopefully see you all before next Thursday so we can in person wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And for those we don't, we will see you in 2023. Take care and thanks for joining us tonight.